Greetings, folks. Iolair here. Today, I am very excited to share my thoughts on some upcoming changes in World of Warships 0.8.11 for what is my favorite nation in the game, and that is, or are, the Germans. Specifically, there is a major buff to the main battery dispersion for the German battleships. And secondly, we have introduction of the German legendary commander, Admiral Günther Lütjens. So lots of information to cover and try to pack into a short replay. Speaking of which, this is myself in the Große Kurfürst on the public test server, 0.8.11, where I am testing out the German battleship buff. This is a standard battle on Tears of the Desert. There are only four players per team, which is kind of common on the public test server. They tend to be short battles and small-sided. I run a blended secondary survivability build, which is the same as what I run on the live server, but frankly, Superintendent with such short games is a waste and be better to put it into other skills, but I kind of wanted to test what I actually ran on the live server. And then also just a friendly reminder before I get to the main topics that in addition to these videos on YouTube, I am also active on Facebook, Discord, Twitter, and occasionally Twitch. I have been particularly active on Facebook as of late, posting my thoughts and ideas for the community about a variety of World of Warships topics. So I invite you to follow me there if you haven't already. And I'll leave links to all of these sources in the description below and also under the About section of my YouTube channel. So with that, let's go ahead and get to the main topics. So the first one I want to cover is the German battleship main battery dispersion buff. So the German battleships will receive the same main battery shell dispersion ellipse as the US Navy and Royal Navy battleships. Now what this will translate into is tighter dispersion on your shells from the German battleships, and that should translate into better mid-range accuracy and obviously result in increased shell hits, hopefully more damage and more consistent performance. Now, I, among many, generally perceive the German lines in general as been as being very heavily power crept, and improving the dispersion on the German battleships is going to go a long way to helping the battleships at least be more competitive in games. So I definitely felt that. There's some examples of some much better salvos than one might normally expect to see in this replay that you're watching, including a very good salvo on the Henri Quatre at around the minute 50 mark or so. So good examples of that. So the second item I cover, which requires more discussion, is the introduction of the German commander, or the legendary German commander, Günther Lütjens. And I'm not going to get into his history. All of that is sort of covered in Wikipedia and other sources, which hopefully are fairly reliable. In-game, Lütjens will have 3 buffed skills, including a buffed expert marksman, and this matches the same buff skill that's present on many other legendary and unique commanders. It improves turret rotation to 1 degree per second for larger caliber main batteries, and it also improves turret rotation to 3 degrees per second for smaller caliber main batteries, that is 139 millimeters or smaller. He receives a buffed preventative maintenance, which will reduce the chance of module incapacitation by 45%, and he will receive an improved engine boost, which is a skill specific to carrier commanders that will improve airplane engine boost by 12.5%. Now, Lütjens' talents are where things get more interesting. Now, Wargaming clearly stated up front and aimed this commander at being useful for any class of ship, including carriers, and the talents are intended to reflect this. So, other than the exemplary reconnaissance talent, these talents can only be acquired once per battle. And is the norm for all legendary commanders. These talents cannot be activated in clan battles. The first talent we have is the secondary armament expert talent, obviously intended for battleships. The talent is activated when 100 secondary battery hits are earned, and then reduces secondary battery reload times by 15%. Now, when you stack this buff with other mechanics that also reduce secondary battery reload times, you can get some pretty strong results. So for example, if you put this on the Große Kurfürst with the Kurfürst legendary upgrade, you will get a reduction of reload by 28%. If you stack Adrenaline Rush on top of that, you bring it down even further. If you stack it on top with BFT, if you also run that on your secondary builds, you get an even further reduction. And all of these things cumulatively could result in basically almost cutting your reload time in half under optimal conditions or sort of theoretical conditions. So potentially very influential for secondary builds. The second talent is the Iron Strike talent, intended for cruisers, but likely could be very useful on destroyers as well. Now, once 140 main battery hits are earned, main battery reload time is reduced by 7.5%. Now, on a Hindenburg with main battery modification 3 in slot 6, which is the reload upgrade, Adrenaline Rush, and the Lütjens talent that is activated, could see a theoretical reload time of less than 7 seconds. And then the upcoming German light cruiser, premium light cruiser Mainz, with a base reload of 7 seconds, could see a theoretical reload of less than 4.5 seconds if, again, you factor in a very heavy influence from Adrenaline Rush and Lütjens. Then we have the Exemplary Reconnaissance talent, which is aimed at destroyers, and this will restore health for each 3 spotting ribbons earned. Now, this talent can be activated multiple times in a battle. Health is restored at a rate of 300 hit points per second and lasts 1 second per tier of the destroyer. So, for example, a Tier 10 Z-52 could theoretically restore up to 3,000 hit points for each activation of this talent. Now, coupling this talent with the Iron Strike talent could make a German destroyer very powerful, especially in late game. Now, finally, we have the Air Superiority talent, which is aimed at carriers, and this will reduce aircraft restoration time by 10% once 30 rocket, bomb, or torpedo hits are earned. Now, I expect that this 30 hits is not based on accumulating across those 3. Instead, you have to reach 30 of at least one of those rocket, bomb, or torpedo hits in order to activate this talent. So again, all of these talents, looking at them holistically, intended to make Lütjens viable for any class. So all in all, Lütjens looks to be a very interesting and exciting addition to the game. I haven't decided yet where I plan to put Lütjens once I've earned him, but I am saving up enough Elite Commander XP, so once I do have him, I can immediately assign him where I want, and I can immediately push him to 19 skill points. So some final thoughts. I'm very pleased that the Kriegsmarine and the Germans are getting a number of improvements. Again, this is a line or a nation that I think is generally perceived as heavily power-crept, and getting a little bit of love is a good thing in my mind. I'm also very excited to see some of the other expansions, including some of the upcoming premium ships like the Mainz and the Odin. Unfortunately for this battle, I did not capture the post-match results, but as I recall, I earned close to 2,000 base XP, and I did about 45,000 damage combined in secondary hits, both for alpha and fires. And so I do hope you enjoyed the commentary and are looking forward, as I am, to these upcoming changes in the game. Please do leave your comments below. I do invite you to like and subscribe, and as always, we hope to see you out there on the virtual seas, and I wish you happy sailing.